Nicole, with that, we're going to let you take it from here. Welcome.
Welcome, welcome.
Hi, ladies. Hi, ladies. Thank you so much. And the trivia was awesome. It's always good to laugh. So let's address Digital Signage Guru. Basically, that's just stating that I did do a little bit of everything, or I've tried it. Just like most of you online today, digital signage has been something that most people learn via osmosis, just being in the situation, you just have to figure it out. Okay, so a lot of us come from various backgrounds, whether it's technical, engineering, web and graphic design, or advertising to marketing or AV. Please note that this is an excellent opportunity to hear from some of the best in the industry. So I'm grateful for Design to come up with this awesome experience. And as we move on and begin the media player lightning round, please don't hesitate to ask questions, no matter your level of understanding. We will try to ask those questions and figure it out. So first, I would like to present Zach Woullard with Squirrel, and he's going to present now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zach Woullard, and I'm an account representative from Squirrels, the creators of Ditto. I'm excited to have the chance to speak to everyone at Design today. For today's agenda, we're going to be telling you a little bit about Ditto, a complete digital signage and screen mirroring solution. We'll start by sharing more about who we are at Squirrels and why we are here. Then, as promised, we'll spend the majority of our time today talking about Ditto, showing you some of the templates, alerts, and deployment features we have. Then we'll discuss a few of the reasons that many of our customers fall in love with Ditto. And then from there, we'll talk about what comes next as far as if you wanted to get started with Ditto. And then also, there will be plenty of time at the end of the session today for Q&A, so please feel free to write down any of your questions during my presentation, and I'll be happy to answer them all at the end. So starting off with who is Squirrels, a little bit about us. Squirrels is a tech company which began in 2008 in Northeast Ohio. We are the creators of a few of different screen mirroring solutions that you may have heard of before, AirParrot and Reflector. We make enterprise screen sharing and digital signage softwares. In 12 short years, we've grown these products to the point that they are being used in businesses, schools, and homes across the world. And we've even had NASA as a customer, so maybe somebody's screen mirroring in space with one of our products. We are trusted leaders in the screen mirroring and digital signage industry, evidence of this being earning multiple recognitions from G2 as a high performer and being awarded Installation Best of Show at ISE 2020 in Amsterdam. So talking about what is Ditto. Ditto is a digital signage and wireless screen mirroring software for all of your screens and all your spaces, which eliminates the need for cables, adapters, or complex hardware. The software application turns an Apple TV or Windows computer into a digital signage receiver. And as I said previously, you do not need any hardware from us. You just use that hardware that's already existing there. All of your content within the digital signage platform is managed from a centralized account portal, allowing you to control what is displayed where and when. So I wanted to show you a little bit of Ditto in action. Ditto makes it easy to connect with your audience at the right time and the right place, and allows you to easily create beautiful templates without having to have any sort of graphic design skills. As I mentioned, Ditto also has a screen mirroring feature. End users of the screen mirroring feature will enter the space and see the room code displayed on the screen that they're looking to share to. They can then open our free Ditto Connect app or go to connect.goditto.com and enter the code. This will prompt them to begin their screen mirroring session by either sharing their entire screen or just a single application. Now, if you're here just for digital signage and you're not interested in the screen mirroring portion, you can disable the screen mirroring feature on the receivers that you're using those on as well. So if you have a receiver that you don't think is going to be used for screen mirroring, you can just disable that feature within our account portal. As I mentioned here, I want to show you all a few of the templates and alerts that are included within our digital signage platform. So we have in-house graphic designers that create templates, and we are releasing about 2 per month right now as our pace. These are our most recently released templates, which focus on a feature item, as you can see. This could be for like a store or restaurant setting, or maybe you have your own creative use for this. So as you can see with the crimson watermelon, the sugar pie pumpkins, you throw up an image of that feature item, and then you can put a few bullet points to describe the item. And then also we recently released our Directories template, which gives you the ability to create directories for the space that you're in. So at the bottom, as you can see there, that is giving you a directory for an entire building, or you can use it for a smaller scale space, such as how we listed the different rows of a library on that top right template as well. This is another example of some templates that we have released. These are our spotlight templates. So as you can see here, these focus on highlighting events or people. Here you can see we have an employee spotlight example. So if you wanted to give a shout out to your employee of the month, you could throw up an image of them, talk a little bit about them, and congratulate them on their hard work. Or you can also use it to highlight events that are happening within the organization or within the community. As you can see, the flu shots example gives you more of that community-wide example. And then happy hour, it's Friday. You want to let everybody know, go to the bar down the street. Let's all meet up. Obviously, once everything's over here and we can social distance safely. So you can throw that up there and let everybody know of the event happening there. And then as I mentioned as well, we do have an alert system within Ditto as well that allows you to deploy alerts to any display in an instant. Our alert system gives you the ability to get emergency information out to your displays quickly. These alert systems can be integrated with any CAP certified server, or you can create your own manual alerts. These alerts will overtake any digital signage or screen mirroring session that's taking place at the time to make sure that your audience receives the information promptly. And talking a little bit about deployment of Ditto. Ditto is compatible with several MDMs such as Jamf and Meraki. We also offer deployment registry keys to help with that deployment system as well. And Ditto is also, as I mentioned, managed from one central account portal, so you can manage the signage from anywhere with that portal. Allows you to create lists that kind of divvy up what is being shown when and where. So a few of our reasons that many of our customers fall in love with Ditto. We know that creating digital signage can seem like a nightmare if you're not a designer, but we believe that being a designer shouldn't be a prerequisite for being able to create that digital signage. Because we believe that, we've created these free professionally designed templates. They're included with Ditto at no extra cost. And we plan to continue to release these templates to continue to make our template library more robust. We also offer the alert system that people love, gives them a great way to get these alerts out to their audience quickly. You're able to keep your screens active even when you're not. So a lot of people, will have those screens just shut off in their hallways, lobbies, whatever it may be. This is allowing you to get more value out of those and also to just get some really important information out to your audience as well. With audience engagement and retention, studies have shown that people recall information from a dynamic digital display 85% better than something static like a flyer or poster on a wall. So using this is a great way to really catch people's attention when you want to grab those eyes. And then getting rid of wires, cords, and dongles is a huge thing as well. I'm sure you all can think of a time where you saw a display that had a bunch of different wires and things like that hanging from it, and it just doesn't look great. With this, you're either going to be connected to that Apple TV or that Windows computer, and it's going to take a lot of that out of there, make everything look more aesthetically pleasing as far as the wires and cables go. So what comes next with Ditto? So if you're interested in using Ditto, you need just 3 things to begin using it today. A valid receiver. We are compatible with Apple TVs. These need to be the Apple TV 4 HDs or 4Ks. or a Windows receiver or Windows computer running Windows 10 or better. Number 2, a network connection. Ditto works across VLANs as well. So if you are interested in using that screen mirroring, but you have audience and employees that are going to be on different networks, as long as they're allowed to communicate, you'll be able to work across those. And then number 3, obviously a place to share. You can put Ditto on televisions, projectors, or any other AV source that you're thinking that you would like to show your content on. So if you have those 3 things and you're interested in starting an evaluation, we do offer a 30-day free trial. You can go to account.goditto.com/sign up, or just go to our website, airsquirrels.com, and check out the Ditto page on there. There will also be links to the trial information there. And then I've also listed my contact information on this slide. So if you wanted to reach out to me directly, I'm happy to speak with anyone. I work with both education organizations and business organizations. That is all I had for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, we have Miles Schofield with AOpen. See. Miles, are you there?
I had my mute on, sorry. Hi, thanks for joining me today. My name is Miles Schofield, sales engineer from AOpen. So to get started today, if you haven't heard of AOpen before, who we are is we're part of the Acer group. You probably have heard of Acer, #1 in consumer office monitors. They have the Predator brand. They have just tons and tons of great products. So AOpen, the A in AOpen actually stands for Acer. And the whole idea behind the brand is that we work with companies to really create the best hardware and deployment solutions for your particular brand, whether if you offer complete software solutions or if you're an end brand as well. So what I wanted to talk about today, though, just as an overarching topic, is basically what I've seen in 2020 that has really emphasized a lot of what I've been saying in the past 3 or 4 years in digital signage. And what is that? It's really 2020, a lot of the partners, there's been a lot of confusion, the market has changed drastically, and the people who won in 2020 is who I think will win in the future. So I really wanted to talk about companies, solutions that were successful this year, and how that will reflect going forward. Because everyone's talking about, well, how's QSR, how's retail, fast casual going to change? Is the e-tail trends going to keep going? So I wanted to talk about where the business specifically is going. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, of course, the trend itself, right? When we look at online retail, obviously everyone was stuck inside. I'm talking about specifically the American market, right? This graph on the left shows the year-over-year growth for online sales. Obviously, it was absolutely massive during the restrictions in the summer this year in the United States in 2020, right? You may have seen the Oversight Committee interview with Amazon. They like to use this 5 and 6% of total retail. So although they absolutely completely dominate e-tail sales in general, they like to use this very, very small number. But the real question is this trend, as people are constantly online, constantly shopping online, constantly on their phone, is this presence by e-tailers, not only Amazon, because other people, everyone needs an online presence these days, that trend is definitely going to continue, right? So that's the main point I wanted to make, is that it's all about more and more and more online, right? So what does that mean for our industry specifically, right? And this is the primary point that I always make, is retail needs to be more like e-tail. I don't care if it's a restaurant or a fast casual, or you're selling clothes or books or shoes. This year in 2020, to be successful, you needed an online presence. and you needed to know about your consumers and your customers, right? And so what I always do is I compare the online experience that you get at Amazon with the experience that you get at a retail establishment, and how they should be much more similar, and why retail is lacking so much. And of course, how this does with what this has to do with digital signage. So when you go to Amazon, what do they know about you? They know what you searched for, what you bought before, what your family bought, where you live, who your remote family members are, how often you check, when you shop, absolutely everything. And they know that about everyone, so they can cross-reference. Other people have bought this, blah, blah, blah. Absolutely everything. Now, let's look at, someone walking down the street, right, in a digital out-of-home sort of situation. What do they know? Nothing. If you walk into a Macy's or McDonald's, what do they know? Well, you walk into McDonald's, they know nothing. And maybe they know that people in this particular McDonald's in Cincinnati order more McRibs than in Florida, right? As soon as you charge, buy something, then they know, oh, this guy probably lives close, he always buys at 8 a.m., and et cetera, et cetera. But you can see just the massive advertising advantage for online, right? And to me, that's the gap signage has to close, right? And how does signage close that gap? I'm going to talk about one of the solutions that does that, of course, but it's all about driving loyalty through online presence and through cell phone applications, and having your cell phone interact with signage, talk to online systems, so that you basically, if people aren't going to be physically going out to your store constantly, you need to develop loyalty presence, and you got to get online eyeballs, and then when you're in the store, it needs to push you towards loyalty systems and loyalty software as well. And so that's the primary goal in my mind of software right now, is that it has to push people towards your online presence such that you can get more information about them, you can cater to them. Because if you just look at it from a plain, the Amazon, they're telling you things you want to buy, they're showing you everything you want to buy, they know everything about you, and they know what's going to get you, but that just isn't present. That's just not present whatsoever in brick and mortar, right? So that's the whole gap that people are going to, are trying to bridge with digital signage and kiosk and ordering systems and all that stuff. And a lot of it was forced this year because of 2020, right? Drive-through, everyone had to learn how to use Grubhub, right? And so that was a major factor of it. So the primary digital signage solution I wanted to highlight today is, of course, through one of our partners, right? AOPN is a hardware manufacturer. We need to deploy and work with partners to drive our solutions. And the main partner I wanted to bring up today for digital signage is Upshow. They're absolutely great company. They make a very lightweight CMS that's extremely popular with a lot of major brands in QSR and fast casual. And so it runs on our AOPN Chromebox Mini, which is one of our lightweight Chrome solutions. It's actually based off of the same platform as the Chrome bit that was produced. But the main purpose of the AOPN Chromebox is that it's a box that you can put in a major brand and not have to worry about it. It's designed to run 5 years, no problem. Upshow creates great packaging. The installers just stick it on the back of the TV and you're good to go. It's one of the easiest things to install. So Upshow has been a great partner this year, and they've found a lot of success, right? I have a whole webinar. They go through exactly all their value adds, but I just wanted to create this slide about talking to you about that conceptual shift on how to get more eyeballs and better advertise in your retail space, right? So the traditional model is that it's all about what are we showing for content. Content is extremely expensive to create, and it's very hard to keep relevant. And so the old model really was just like, you had your cable TV, let's say in a fast casual, showing the game or the match, and then you have your loop of these ads that maybe you update 4 times a year, or maybe when you have a new product and things like that. But it's not going to cut it in 2020, right? It definitely doesn't cut it in 2020. It's not going to cut it in the future. So what Upshow does, you have to basically, the main way to look at the way that people consume content is live television is one of the most popular types of consumed content, but not only live, I like to say the word timely. So when you talk about timely content, just think about what you're consuming on a daily basis, right? When have you looked at content that was produced on your phone or on the internet that was produced over a week ago? Everyone reads news articles from today or yesterday. Their TikTok feed is just a constant stream of just high energy content. Your Facebook stream, your Instagram stream, all this stuff was created today or yesterday. All the filtering websites like Reddit, there's live streaming sites like YouTube content. YouTube posts more content on a daily basis than you could watch in your entire life, right? If you wanted to watch a day of YouTube content, that that could just be your whole life. So it's the new strategy is you have to have timely content. Because if you're showing something that your marketing team made 5 years ago, you have to give people, you have to link it in with the way that people consume media these days, right? How does Upshow do that, right? So their main focus of their platform is to be extremely agile, flexible, and really pull in and link all that, especially content aware, right? If the game's on, it's talking to you about the game. You can bet on the game. You can have trivia about the game. You can interact with the game for, the deals on wings and things. It links in social media so that you can comment on the game, right? So, and all at the same time, you loop in the ads, because once you have that timely, relevant content, that's what people want to watch. People don't want to watch ads because they're ads. People want to watch timely content and then have ads interlaced. And so this whole strategy of better grabbing, with digital signage, better grabbing eyeballs, because it's producing content that people are used to seeing, right? Which is that timely relevant. They're used to scrolling through social media. They're used to all these little interactive apps. And once you pull people in with that on signage, then that's when you hit them with the, hey, loyalty, sign up loyalty program. Hey, we got a deal if you participate in this, right? X, Y, and Z, all the typical digital signage advertising tropes that we're used to. So, so that's the main point I wanted to make. The other thing that, of course, tons and tons of people talk about in the digital signage industry is, in terms of e-tail versus retail, is when are we going to get better tracking and what the tracking is going to do, right? Is every digital signage going to have a Wi-Fi module on it to, so that it knows exactly whose cell phone is is in range, right? Are we going to go with the camera systems that identify you, but they identify you as a consumer, not as an individual, to get around the facial recognition, right? These are all, there's solutions out there already, and that's what we're basically discussing, right? That all these IoT devices need to basically come into the next year, and those are the solutions that we're looking at. And so AOpen as a hardware provider, how do we take that? The way we see the market is that you're going to need heavier devices, right? Because if you're processing camera feeds and dynamic social media and connecting to cell phones, right? You want the cell phones to connect right there. You're probably going to eventually be feeding, higher quality content directly to the cell phones. You're going to need more than, some ARM-based processor out there, or some Broadcom-based processor. You're going to need an i3 or some AMD equivalent or an i5. I mean, even right now, dynamic CMSs usually run on an i5, right? Because they need to store multiple 4K videos that can switch in an instant, and you just can't do that on a lightweight embedded player. So what we do, to wrap it up, what we do as at Open is we're really focused on obviously creating media players that are completely worry-free, fanless, last for 5 years, because when you install your solution, that's the last thing. You want people focused on your solution, creating content, getting customers, reacting to customers, getting the right solution. All this stuff. You don't want them complaining that your screens are down, right? No one wants to hear that. So AOpen is really the leader in creating solid-state media players, last extremely long time, and we even have one that's used in outdoor charging kiosks, that it doesn't need a special enclosure. It has a huge heat range. It has an i5 in it. So we also have a webinar on that with an electric car charging company, all nationwide, right? So these are the type of things where we have partners in digital signage and how we look at it from a hardware perspective. All right, let's talk about some other things that happened in 2020. So another one of our partners, Express Image, also had a webinar with them that you can check out the full version. So what Express Image does is, and what they did in 2020 is that typically they're a kiosk wayfinding and digital signage type provider, right? They have absolutely fantastic wayfinding solutions in a number of very large malls. And the major problem that they were trying to solve this year, in particular in 2020, is that rules were changing constantly and directions you had to give people were constant. So once again, you can't just make your content and go with it, because one time you're telling people to do this, one time you're telling people to do this. So their biggest product this year was actually scheduling systems, right, that interacted with the signage and kiosk. You check in, the signage directs you where to go. It all needs to be dynamic, because some days you may have to stand 10 feet apart, or you may have to come 5 minutes later, and all this sort of stuff. So Express Image is a totally cross-platform, has your cell phone messaging connected to the digital signage messaging, connected to the kiosk messaging, and they specifically focus on retail and healthcare, which is where a lot of these problems were being solved this year in particular. So once again, this is just another example of a completely integrated, flexible system that interacts across all devices to really facilitate that added engagement that people are going to be expecting from these type of systems in the future, right? So let's talk about a few more. All right. Another type of technology this year is, of course, kiosk. I wanted to briefly, if you're not familiar with these type of solutions, if you haven't really worked with them, these solutions are extremely prevalent in other areas of the world, right? This was the first sort of year that this sort of market had become extremely important in America. And what AOpen did is, of course, we evaluated and released a number of hardware products for this. So I'm talking, of course, about temperature screening. A lot of the major brands implemented temperature screening, and it was a big question about how do you implement it, and et cetera, et cetera. A lot to talk about. If you want to know about Heat Finder Works, we got the webinars for that too. Sorry, temperature sensing in general, how it works, why it works, what price ranges, all that sort of stuff. But generally speaking, the best solutions really come in form of a kiosk, right? So we can, one of the leaders is our partner 22 Miles. They deployed on one of our Windows all-in-one, and you can see that you just walk up to it. It's in a corporate or factory environment, aligns your face, takes your temperature, can tell if you're wearing a mask or not. Boom, straight in, right? What we're releasing next month at AOpen is our own module. You can see 22 Miles made their own module, but we have a more integrated one that's actually designed for more face scanning as well. So with HR departments and factory workers and managing industrial spaces and corporations, they're all going to be doing that either QR security check or your face security check, right? So it's going to be a really great all-in-one package for our solution partners to use. And of course, the right one is just a straight IP cam that was developed for industrial applications. But the reason why it's a really great product for this particular solution is that it's cost-effective for measuring multiple people in an extremely low period of time. Lots of the low-cost cameras can only measure about 50 centimeters, which means you got to get within 3 feet of the thing. So you need to spend more to get a camera that can actually catch someone walking by, right? It can literally get them in the 2 seconds as you walk by. And that's what the Heat Finder is designed to do, is really create a seamless thing. You want to take people's temperature, but you don't want them to have to stop at a desk, things like that. So we have partners, kiosk partners, and also we have IP camera solutions as well for this particular market. All right, one of the other partners that we got this year is a European company, and they've created a proprietary coding for kiosks. And this is obviously, health concerns have obviously been prevalent in 2020. And so what is Castus? It's basically either an overlay or a baked-in solution for kiosks. And the thing that makes it really great is that it's actually certified to be anti-COVID, right? The technology you see there on every single kiosk is a silver ion poisoning solution that's leaching, and it actually does nothing to viruses. So if in a commercial environment where you're not wiping it down with bleach, you need some sort of protection, right? And what gives you that that peace of mind is really these new types of technologies with new types of ways to combat viruses specifically, right? So Castus does that. The really cool thing about it is that it's completely non-leaching and it works in light and darkness. And the really cool thing about it is that it actually works and is powered by the kiosk display. You know, when you go up to a kiosk, there's a backlight. It actually it takes that energy, it absorbs that energy from the backlight, and it uses that to kill the COVID on the screen, right? So really cool technology. And of course, AOpen, we work with them. If you want any of our all-in-ones to use in a kiosk project, we can make it happen for you. So. All right, almost out of time, but one of the other things is, of course, everyone's familiar with working from home this year. Well, most of us, right? And a few things, main thing I wanted to talk about with this slide is really that AOpen's been working with a lot of medical solution providers this year. Specifically, and this is going to be huge in the future, is telepresence, right? Telepresence, it just is a way to better optimize your resources. It makes perfect sense. You're going to need heavier machines just because you're going to want to watch TV. You're going to want to talk to your doctor. And this was an outpatient clinic solution where people can sit down and call a doctor and report to a nurse while they're waiting, and it feeds them relevant information, all this sort of great stuff. We're working on projects in pharmacies and outpatient clinics and things like that. The one on the right is AOpen's now releasing cameras. This one, we have a webinar coming out. We're just releasing it this month. So stay tuned for more information. But the cool thing about it, it's a 4K, high-end, 180 degree, great for education and for teachers because you have to get the whole board in frame. So yeah, definitely check that out if you're interested. And to wrap things up, for the last slide, I just want to reiterate what AOpen does. We obviously just work with partners to make sure that they can create and deploy the best solutions possible. We have hardware media players, 1 to 6 screens. We make little kiosk stands. We make media players on all platforms, Windows, Linux, Chrome, Android. And we solve a lot of those logistical services for you, right? If you're a software solution provider and you don't have warehouses and ability to deploy and work with large businesses, you know, we can solve a lot of those deployment issues for you. So if you have a solution that you're looking to deploy and make your business grow, definitely talk to us. If you're interested in any type of media player, we can help you out. We're here to solve your hardware problems, right? And make your business grow. So anyway, thanks for your time. Check us out. Any questions, message us at info@aopen.com.
Hi. Thank you. That was a lot of information, Miles. So I'm waiting for some of the questions to come through for you. At this particular time, we'll start with Zach and go over some of the questions that came in for you. Okay?
Great.
Okay. Can we hear you?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes. Okay. So let's start with the first one. You mentioned and reviewed the templates for Ditto. Does your team create custom signage templates?
Yes, we do. Well, actually, I apologize for that. We create the templates and put those out, but then from there, you are able to edit those on your own to kind of customize those and make those branded for your own organization.
Okay. Let's see. Your signage system seems extremely simple and easy to use. What is your largest market for your signage at this particular time?
So we work a lot with higher education institutions. So they're using those obviously across their campuses to get out information, use it for wayfinding. But we've also been used in retail spaces, even manufacturing. We recently brought on a large customer, Alabama Power, that is using our signage to display safety protocols on their shop floors to make sure that is reinforced. So I've really seen us all over the place. But I would say Higher education is probably number one right now, but we're spreading into businesses and manufacturing, retail as well.
Okay. Going with that, can you deploy to entire campuses or facility-wide? Sorry. Sorry, I got another message in. Facility-wide for your digital signage network technology? If so, how?
Yes. So you would link all the receivers to your account portal. So that can go, across a campus, like I said. And then from there, you would manage those all from within the account portal. So basically, you can create lists of certain receivers. So if you were, like I said, within a college campus, if you wanted certain signage playing in the mathematics building, you could create a list for that and add the signage that you wanted in that building. And then if you wanted other stuff in a science building, you could kind of do the same process. So it's a really simple process of just linking those receivers to your portal and then kind of creating those room groups to kind of deploy everything.
Okay. Does that include scheduling as well, or does it just play from a list?
No, yes, you can schedule what is being played when and where. And that is down to minutes at a time. You can schedule what's playing where.
Okay, let's see. 1 second here. Does it have a built-in CMS, or is your platform compatible with third-party CMS platforms?
I do not believe that it's compatible with third-party. It's all done within our own account management portal there.
Okay, let's see. I will move over to Miles. AOpen has been seeing rebounding demands since November 2020. Is AOpen expecting a momentous change in Q1 2021?
Depends on which market and vertical you're talking about. Obviously, some people had an absolutely killer summer. As I mentioned, the e-tail was absolutely massive. And a lot of our partners were successful regardless of that because of a lot of the things I mentioned, right? Is because they were able to offer solutions to businesses which helped them manage all these rules and regulations, to retail that needed to manage all these rules, to healthcare. So digital signage was all a part of that. So it was all the people who really took advantage of that. I always like to use Zoom as an example because, Zoom blew up like crazy. Probably it's a bad thing to say, but it's probably a really good thing that happened to them this year because everyone needed a conferencing solution. So in terms of traditional signage, getting a rebound, what I'm hoping is, just as I mentioned, to see that shift in 2021 is that people are going to prioritize, drive-through and remote ordering solutions and online presence a lot more. And that's what I see really taking off in the next few quarters.
Okay. Let's see here. For Zach, for people who only use Ditto to screen mirror, how is Squirrels helping end user customer understanding all of the other things the solution can do? Let me rephrase that. How do customers figure out all the solutions in which Squirrel and Ditto offer that are currently using it?
Sure. So
they gave an
we
example.
obviously have. Oh, I apologize. Go ahead.
No problem. They gave an example. For example, emergency alerts, digital signage templates, and so on.
Sure. So on our website, we do have a pretty extensive help guide that can walk you through all of those different capabilities we have. And then to go along with that, obviously, we do also have human presence to answer any of those questions. We do have a dedicated customer success team, as well as account representatives like myself that are always open to hopping on a Zoom or Teams call to give you a little bit of like a demo or walk through the account portal and how to manage those features.
Okay, I think you'll be receiving a lot of calls from that one because that question came up more than once. Okay, from Miles, does the film with Costas, is that correct, Costas?
Castus, yeah. Apparently, yeah.
Castus, work for LED walls as well, or is it just a specific, size template for the kiosk?
They're obviously targeting a small form factor. I could ask them if they could make something that large for like a tiled LED. Yeah, so basically the way you can think about the Cassis technology is it looks exactly like a little screen protector that you put on like your iPhone, right? It's like a film, and the front of the LED wall would have to be smooth and be able to mount. It'd have to have glass on the front so that you'd be able to put some sort of overlay so that the adhesion would work, right? So as long as that would work, I think it would probably be possible. I don't know if you'd get seams. I don't know. It's a good question. I could definitely ask them about that. But for our products, it's we're just focused. AOpen focuses on all-in-ones between 10 and 22 inches, and so those are the main ones we're offering it on.
Okay, so is that something done in manufacturing, or is that like, do you receive like the screen protector thing and then you install it yourself on current kiosks, or both?
We can do both. We can do it both. Obviously, you know, if they want it baked in, then you can of course do that. But it has to be, the bake-in process has to be during the actual screen manufacturing. So it's more of a made-to-order type of process. If we had someone wanted 1,000 kiosks and they say, hey, bake in the Cassis, we can make them we could put it in the screens for them, and it would just be in there forever. It's lasts an extremely long time. So yeah, both ways. If you want to add it to an existing product or any of these other things, the Cassis team will do that too for sure.
Okay, let me go on here. Zach, questions about how does network security work with this product?
Sure. So the account portal, number one, has multi-factor authentication. So the portal is very secure there. And then, like I said, we have the ability to operate across VLANs. So if you do have, you know, like I mentioned before, an audience that is on one network while your employees are on a different network, it can operate across those. And we only require one TCP port to be open for these processes. So I know a lot of people can struggle with the network security because of the different port requirements that they have. But we try to simplify that as much as possible to work on some of those more complicated networks.
Okay, so do you go in and help with the installation, or is this something that each individual consumer goes in, you know, you have a Zoom call and you go through it, or is it a full-on implementation?
Yes, we can. We are always open to hopping on a call. Once again, our customer success team is great with that, about hopping on the call with them to walk them through the setup of the account portal, linking of the receivers, and kind of talk them through network configuration in order to make sure that everything's kosher with the setup there.
Okay, thank you. Moving back to Miles. Miles, can you tell us what an i5 is?
Oh, sure. An i5, so Intel gave up trying to name their processors with numbers, and they just switched over their core series. And so they just call everything basically Celeron, i3, i5, i7, and i9. The confusing part for the market is that they sort of put a hidden number on every single one. So if you're buying a media player, make sure you check what generation it is. So basically, it's just their generic, Intel's generic processor labeling scheme in terms of how fast you should expect it to be. But they've been calling it, I mean, I think we're on 9th generation, so you always have to check. They also have internal names. You may have seen like Broadwell and all this sort of stuff. So it can be a little bit confusing for consumers at times, but generally speaking, it's the amount of power you're getting. So an i5 is something that can gonna be able to run 2 4K screens, dynamic switching. Like I said, you're gonna need that higher processing power, especially if you're gonna be processing video feeds too, if you want more of an interactive element in the future.
Okay, let's see here. This one's for you again, Miles. Since you discussed so many topics, okay?
I'll take it.
Let's see. Okay, and you can do this as briefly as you like. Have you heard of something about Google will end up in support for Chrome apps on Chrome OS in June 2021? And if this may have an impact on digital signage Chrome OS solutions?
I don't actually hate the way that Google's moving in this direction. Google's whole idea is that everything needs to be web-based. If you think about, so Google's strategy is that all the processing and power and all that stuff and everything is just sort of like a terminal, right? You can look at even their gaming system, right? They want you to be able to play super high-end games and to your phone via streaming. The same idea, their sort of approach to computing, right? Because their online app suite and all these sort of things. So that step where Google is killing off Chrome OS apps in general is just a step in that direction because they're replacing it with PWAs, which PWAs mimic actual apps. Now, why is that important? Is because Microsoft's doing this too, is that no one downloads applications on their phone, but corporations want the power of applications on your phone. So what do? You make websites that act like applications, right? See how you get around? You don't have to install anything anymore, right? So that's the way that you offer an app-like experience, right, through a website, is through a progressive web app. And progressive web apps, if you give them permission to, they can do all the stuff that a regular application to do. They can have all the system APIs and control the screens and power on and power off and manage and blah, blah, blah. All of that is there. So the Google team is committed to having PWA work with all these remote management features and all these system management features on Chrome OS. So we've already had a few partners move over to PWA, and they're very integrated commercial-based applications, and they work fine. So as far as I'm concerned, it works. It's there, regardless of how you feel about it. So, and I know Microsoft probably going to try something like that too, probably.
Okay, let's see, one more question for both of you, and then I believe if I'm reading this correctly, Gary would like to come on and ask another question. Can you both touch on case studies, interesting case studies or installations that you have coming up shortly? Can we start? We'll start with Zach.
Sure. So we do have several case studies that are displayed on our website. So if you go to our Ditto webpage, you can find those on there. A lot of those are with our education partners. A few of those would be Wake Forest University, University of Illinois, and then we also recently put one up with one of our international education partners, Padair College, which is in Australia. And then we also have a few with some of our larger business partners, such as Cambridge Innovation Center in Massachusetts, and then also a case study with Alabama Power, which I just mentioned in the presentation, is coming soon as well.
Okay.
Miles? Oh, for us, I mean, my entire presentation was case studies. So
yes,
yeah,
I know.
So obviously, all those products are in the largest malls in the world, airports, all the well-known airports, the largest QSR solutions. That was all last year. What's coming up that I'm excited about is really the AOpen's dedication towards the AV. AOpen's moving towards AV. Next year, we're trying to create real robust, easy to install, manageable solutions, and the cameras are just the first step. But once again, you talk about signage; it's adjacent to AV. You're going to need those high-powered computers for AV. Pro AV systems, they use i5s, i7s as well too. So in the nice ones. So what can be done about managing those systems, keeping the cost down, making the experience better? That's what AOpen's thinking about. So we're looking at AV in the future, and of course, all these healthcare projects that I've been working on this year, getting deployed next year. That's what I'm most excited about. I love this telehealth present stuff because I hate driving places. So if I can call my doctor on some kiosk and fix stuff, I mean, I don't want to. If I want to rent a car, I don't want to stand in a line. I want to use a kiosk or all this stuff. So those are the most exciting solutions for me that we have going out next year for sure.
Thank you. Hi, Gary.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great.
I felt compelled to come in here because I have some challenging questions for both of these guests, and I want to put them on the line a little bit, but they're not going to be totally softball questions, but they're the questions that people are asking online, so I'm going to get them to you. So AOpen, I've always thought there was a giant hole that your company and others like you could have filled by doing things like having a system that would be a media player that would go into the ceiling of every single install of every projector in every university in K through 12 around the world, just by allowing the HDMI loop through to pass information across a digital signage platform, not just for emergency services. So, for example, one of the applications for this is you're in class, all of a sudden, God forbid, there's a hurricane or a tornado or another kind of a emergency event, or you need to get an instant message out to everyone. This is a way for you to take over the class and broadcast a message on top of the content that's already there. To do that now, integrators are using video wall processors and other kind of products like that. And in this case, a media player would be perfect for something like this. So tell me how you would do that. And is that something you've been taking a look at?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the code everyone is trying to crack when it comes to education is what are the solutions going to be used? How are they being managed? And what are they doing? Because there's great solutions out there, right? For instance, 5 years ago, you look at everything, everyone thought every single classroom in America was going to have a digital whiteboard, right? That the students can interact with and things like that. And that would massively improve the AV experience. But as we know, technology decisions by school boards don't necessarily follow the most logical technical trends. And that's, you're not making a technical, your argument's completely rational, but you have to remember that every time you're selling something in education, it has to feed exactly like you said. It needs to do that pass through and that react. And that's what our CMS partners in the education space are trying to shoot for, that exact scenario. Screens that have the interlaced and interrupt video with all that sort of management and information system, almost like a corporate communication system. That's exactly the type of solutions that we think are going to bite in education, right? Everyone's looking for the killer app that's going to sell and be in every single classroom, right? And that's what our solution partners are looking at.
So I agree with you that for public K through 12, there might be some limitations if you pitch it as a security system. But if you're going after higher education and K through 12, not as security and as information. So for example, think about this. When we get back to school, this is the way school's going to operate. In between classes, students are coming to class early and sitting there and staring at a screen with nothing on it except a blue screen waiting for someone to connect a laptop to, or a black screen that's been turned off, or they're waiting for the professor to come and turn it on. Just like when you go to a movie theater, there's movie previews and that 20 minutes of entertainment content that's playing before the movie. That's a great opportunity for you to spill content on there. And in the case of K through 12, it could be like, don't forget this homework assignment. It could be literally connected to Google Classroom and be sending messaging. All you need to do is have a second HDMI input, or really take your primary HDMI input, allow it to pass through so that whatever content they're sending normally is there. And whenever you go into a rest state, you have that default content. It could even be an overlay. So I'm still going to challenge you. I think that it could be done even without the governmental intervention. And I hope that you take the advice. I think there'd be a great opportunity. That's a great crossover between AV. Now I want to go to Squirrels. I love your product. I don't understand why everybody doesn't put this into every single classroom. It gives you
we don't need it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a cheap way to do wireless, inexpensive, I should say. I know you probably hate that word. Inexpensive way to do wireless. But there's another opportunity here for AV integrators that maybe they're not thinking about, and that is, if you have a digital signage deployment campus-wide, this is the easiest way to convert that into a UCC display just by plugging in a Squirrels device. Because all you can do is put something on the back of any kind of digital display. You can then put either a QR code or something else that allows you to walk up, tap it, do something like that, and then whatever content's here goes there. It's only a few $100s to do something like that per screen campus-wide, right? Or am I missing something? Is there a piece I'm missing there?
Yeah, like you said, we do think that this is, we prefer the word affordable. It's inexpensive, I guess I would say. But yes, with those displays you're going to be using, as you said, you can just have that Apple TV or a Windows computer connected to that, or even a Windows computer stick, as long as it's running Windows 10 or better. And you can have that ready to go for both digital signage and with the screen mirroring capabilities. And then to kind of piggyback off the question or what you're talking to Miles about, Ditto actually does have the capability for those alerts to go out, as you were talking about, where it's going to overtake a screen mirroring session or a digital signage session. It will overtake that in order to make sure that people are notified of, like you said, whether it be a severe weather warning or any other type of emergency that may be occurring. So when you were talking to Miles about that, I definitely wanted to bring that up as well. But yeah, like you said, we don't have our own proprietary hardware. As I mentioned, it's just the Apple TVs or the Windows devices. So getting those together along with just a subscription of Ditto is, like you said, very affordable for the K-12 setting.
When I was building the educational content for these 2 days, when I reached out to Nicole because of her expertise with a media player, I thought she'd be perfect in these new tech lighting rounds because her knowledge of digital signage and the fact, and for those people that don't know, she's worked for AOpen. I can't remember if that was said in the very beginning. So you have the experience with AOpen. And AOpen is interesting because y'all were built on a back. Y'all were the first digital signage company was built on a back that I recall that was built on the platform specific around, what everyone has, Windows. Like it worked with everything at that time when you first debuted that product, Miles. Have you, how much movement have you gone outside? Because I'm not intimately familiar with outside of Windows in Android and potential iOS or Mac OS and other platforms like that? Or do you really still feel like the Windows platform is the base that you should be sticking with?
So yeah, at AOpen, the main marketing brag that we like to do is, say that we were the genesis of the original media player, small form factor PC a million years ago. I know there's like 90 to 100 different brands that make small black boxes these days, but we might as well say we're there first, right? So, but in terms of how we approach media players, it's all about working with partners to make their solution successful, right? Which is why we do Windows and Chrome, Linux and Android, right? And we try and solve the hardware and logistical challenges with those. And so what do we like to focus on? Like I mentioned, it's got to be that higher processing power. One of the other things that's going to be really interesting moving forward is, do you need some sort of what's called a VPU? As part of the hardware solution in the future. Why would you need a VPU? That's a visual processing unit, for those who don't know. It's a little chip. Intel has one. It's called Movidius. And what that allows you to do is run complex AI on usually video data. It can help you identify people or scan things in the grocery. That's where all the checkout solutions that make sure you're not cheating are going to come from. And like I said, the AOpen really focuses on creating those open platforms, right? It's the reason why you can't, AOpen just can't make Android boxes is because Android boxes are hard to deploy on. They only have about a 2-year life cycle. Everyone wants the newest version constantly. They don't have any long-term roadmap. If you deploy on like Android 4, then you're stuck on there forever because you don't have the tech budget to move up. So it just makes more sense if you're trying to offer a commercial solution to a school that you can be like, hey, throw this on your signage or your projector. It'll run Squirrels for the next 10 years. You can replace it. That's those sort of long-term supported platforms that are secure and can be updated is what we really try and focus on for our partners. Not the real people who are trying to squeeze things out on Raspberry Pis or low-cost integrated players and things like that. So that's our philosophy. Open platforms that have a lot of power to be dynamic and change and support all these new solutions. Right.
Yeah, now for 7 or 8 years, Nicole, you made all the digital signage, the majority of the digital signage decisions for a giant casino that probably deployed hundreds, I don't know, maybe it's even close to 1,000 digital signage media players out there. Is there an application that was your favorite over all these years that you used? And I'm sure you used a lot of AOpen, having moved from the casino world to AOpen. What about you? You were asking about applications. What's your favorite that you ever did over there at Venetian?
I'll put it this way. We went through a lot because we had so many different types of had their group of players, had their digital signage system, their CMS. The conference rooms had theirs. So my job was to combine all the different hodgepodge displays, media players, and CMSs into one.
And
So
make it work.
and make it work. The whole thing was get it done. Can you make this happen? We have paying customers, make it happen. So I've gone through a lot of different systems and hardware and screens. And I think the most important thing is trying to figure out what your use for that digital signage system is, because I think we had players that were really expensive running in areas that we could have used something as simple as Ditto. Okay, so like for the HR departments. But when it came to the entertainment and the conference management, in which we switched it out a lot more or had video walls and things like that, that's where media players that were more robust came into play. And so it's just kind of knowing and pre-planning your area, just like you would at a university. In a corporate environment, you have to adjust your need and your budget to what the stakeholder needs long term, not just, that first day in which they go, oh, we want a digital display over there. You want something that's going to lead into the future. So I can see uses for various types of software and hardware and different CMSs. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, I appreciate you. Yeah, it does. I want to put a plug in for Nicole. Nicole is a genius. Nicole is a very impressive. She knows everything about digital signage. So if you have any questions, you should click on her picture on this page, and you should connect with her on LinkedIn, because she is super smart on this stuff. I've really enjoyed working with Nicole. She literally spent 7 years putting these systems in. So if you're beginning, you're middle, you're in your career in digital signage or starting your career in digital signage, connect with Nicole. I know they're bugging me. They're saying we got to go to the studio. I got to turn it over to you, Nicole. They're saying we got to go to the studio.
Okay, thank you.
All right. That was awesome.
That was phenomenal.